I think I'm entitled.
You want answers!
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work. When you go to church. When you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Soles, que ahora es organización terrorista, ridículos, son unos ridículos.
Calling the move ridiculous, Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez blasted the United States over its formal designation of Venezuela's Cartel de las Soles as a foreign terrorist organization. The move comes after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the group allegedly imports illegal drugs into the United States. Rodriguez called it a non-existent group. The U.S. has said members of Cartel de las Soles, or Cartel of the Suns, include Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro himself and other high-ranking officials.
War? No.
U.S. officials have also accused the group of working with Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, which Washington also ties to Maduro, who has always denied any involvement. Maduro accuses the U.S. of seeking regime change out of a desire to control Venezuela's natural resources, especially its oil reserves. The U.S. for months has waged a campaign of deadly strikes against suspected drug trafficking boats off the Venezuelan coast and the Pacific coast of Latin America. Experts have questioned the legality of the strikes, and a Reuters poll this month showed that only 29% of Americans support using the military to kill suspected drug traffickers without a judge or court being involved. On Monday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that Trump did not plan to stop the strikes on suspected drug boats.
We view the Maduro regime as being illegitimate, and the president has been very satisfied with the successful strikes against narco-terrorists and foreign terrorists that are illegally trafficking drugs towards the United States of America. He's not going to tolerate that, and you can expect to see those strikes continue.
President Trump has built up U.S. military bases in the Caribbean, and on Monday, a wide array of aircraft was seen at the former Roosevelt Roads Naval Base in Puerto Rico. It's raised concerns that the U.S. may seek to use the Cartel of the Sun's new designation to justify military action, though sanctioned experts have said the statute does not authorize such a move. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the Cartel of the Sun's designation would bring, quote, a whole bunch of new options to the United States, in excerpts released recently from an interview with One American News.
There are a lot of things happening right now in the world, and for me, I am very excited. I do not look at the events happening in the world as scary or as something to fear. I do see judgment happening, but I know that it's not for Yah's remnant. And so as I'm focused on him, he has provided me with an overwhelming sense of calm and stability, while at the same time, excitement and anticipation. The craziest thing to understand and know is that everything about our life today has to do with choice. What you choose to focus on, what you choose to devote your time and energy to, what you choose to let provoke you to fear, or what you choose to rely on that gives you strength. It's all choices. Everything right now is about choice. And if you've been focusing on Yahuwah, you have made the most important choice of your life. And in the times that we're in, you will soon see the reward for it. But it does come in the midst of challenge. This world is about to head into a storm. And if you're not ready for it mentally and spiritually, you run a huge risk of being taken down by something that was not meant to take you down. So I am working on the Waking Up series. But as this news continues to come about, I wanted to make sure that I provided some reality checks for many that don't listen to the mainstream and that know not to trust what the mainstream is saying. I think there's some important points that everyone needs to understand about what's happening right now. I mean, here's the deal. I don't even know if it will happen before this video is released or not. But based on the rhetoric, the United States is going to speed up the narrative for this New World Order by going to war with Venezuela. There is a lot of rhetoric, and this has nothing to do with drugs. Whatever the issue is, it doesn't really matter though. The focus is not on what is going on, but what will come from it. What I want to stress right now is a simple reminder. The rest of the world is asleep, extremely distracted. This is the holiday season where everyone is spending this month spending money they don't have on gifts and planning Christmas and New Year celebrations and whatever else, doing many things to offend our Father. Everyone is distracted, and I believe that all signs are saying that 2026 is going to be a challenging year. I mean, it's already possible that the government shutdown happens again at the end of January. What I want to do is give some advice to the remnant. If you are of the remnant waiting for the kingdom of Yahweh to come, please use this time while everyone is being distracted and make sure that you are preparing for 2026 and any negative event that can and will affect your life. I feel that it's important to at least give this reminder that you need to be getting your house in order and preparing yourself for this world to move into physical judgment. If the United States does go into Venezuela, this could be the lifting of the second seal when peace is taken from the earth, and you need to be prepared for it. So as this month of December starts off, I want to give a brief reality check and strong reminder to get your house in order and get ready. We're going to talk about it. Let's begin. Okay, so let me just fill you in on what's happening. A couple of months ago in this video, I spoke about the United States attacking Venezuelan ships in the Caribbean as they say they're all about drugs. Okay, whatever. If you're actually one that is believing that any of this is about drugs, I need you to really snap out of it. You really truly are trapped in a lie. Anyways, Trump was attacking Venezuela's ships who they say were carrying drugs. But then he continued to escalate, and now he sent aircraft carriers in the region.
US warships appear to be gearing up for action against Venezuela off the coast of Puerto Rico. 15,000 US soldiers are now stationed in the region. There are also 15 US naval vessels off the Venezuelan coast, including the United States' largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, which can carry up to 90 planes. On the streets of Caracas, uncertainty is making people wary.
We are all afraid, but we must continue with our lives. What else can we do? If we stop, we will achieve nothing. We have to move forward and act like nothing is happening. That's the truth. Tension? Yes, there is tension. It feels like a tense calm, where you know something could happen, but you don't know when.
Life goes on, but with a lot of crisis, a lot of problems, and few solutions. This has led all of us to the situation we are in, with parents here alone and children abroad, only seeing them on video to check in. I don't know how this situation in the Caribbean will end or how it will be resolved.
And then he threatened to strike Venezuela by land.
President Donald Trump says the United States will strike inside Venezuela, quote, very soon. He made the statement while speaking to members of the U.S. military on a Thanksgiving phone call. Have a listen.
And in recent weeks, you've been working to deter Venezuelan drug traffickers, of which there are many. Of course, there aren't too many coming in by sea anymore, if you probably noticed that. We'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier. But that's going to start very soon. We warn them, stop sending poison to our country.
The US has killed more than 80 people in strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean. The administration has offered no proof that the vessels were actually carrying drugs.
Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro says his position hasn't changed and that he is willing to engage in face-to-face dialogue with Donald Trump.
Peace will be my haven, my greatest desire, my hope. To say it is our victory, and peace will continue to be our victory, achieved through our own efforts.
But Maduro also stresses that Venezuela is prepared to defend itself, with Trump warning that the US will soon target suspected Venezuelan traffickers on land. Maduro's armed forces may well be put to the test.
Yeah. And then a couple of days after, he says that Venezuela airspace should be considered closed.
New tonight, the Trump administration is increasing pressure on Venezuela and its leader, Nicolas Maduro. President Trump saying on social media airlines should consider the airspace over the country closed in its entirety. Trump this week designated Maduro and his allies as members of a foreign terrorist organization and also suggested that land strikes could be imminent. CNN contributor Stefano Pazzaban is joining us now from Caracas. Stefano, how is the Venezuelan government reacting to this post today from the U.S. president?
Well, Jessica, we haven't heard directly from Nicolas Maduro, and that is quite telling. Let me tell you that. Before we do a little bit of analysis, we do have, however, a statement from the Venezuelan government saying, in the words of their defense minister, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, that no external power has any faculty to interfere, block, or move any decision on the sovereignty of Venezuela. So total rejection from those words from Donald Trump, who early on Saturday had said that he had a message to airlines and pilots to consider the airspace over Venezuela closed, and that seemed to pave the way to some form of direct intervention here in Venezuela.
That means war. Here's the thing, though. All of this is a bunch of nonsense, and it's just for a narrative for the mind-controlled public that believes anything that the media tells them. Understand, this is not about drugs. This is about oil. Just like the Iraq War in 2003. Before this New World Order begins, in order to control the narrative, they are going to make sure that they control all the energy markets. Let me give you a brief breakdown of what I'm talking about. Right now, Venezuela holds the world's largest proven oil reserves, but its contribution to the overall world oil market is minimal. This oil industry didn't grow by accident. Venezuela's oil industry was started by Rockefeller's Standard Oil in the 1920s and 30s. Rockefeller's Standard Oil created the company Creole Petroleum Corporation, and this company built the oil fields in Venezuela mostly under the leadership of Nelson Rockefeller, once governor of New York, and vice president under Gerald Ford.
Stretching along the eastern shore of Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela is one of the industrial wonders of modern times, the oil-producing complex of the Bolivar coastal fields. More than 2,000 oil wells in ordered ranks, reaching almost to the horizon. One of the largest known oil deposits in the world, this resource has brought a new life to the people of Venezuela. The oil beneath these waters belongs to those people, but the stupendous task of bringing it to the surface, refining and marketing, has been the work of private foreign capital and engineering genius, much of it North American. And half that work has been done by one company, Creole Petroleum Corporation. Creole is an American company, an affiliate of Standard Oil Company, New Jersey, but it operates exclusively in Venezuela, making its headquarters in Caracas, a sparkling modern city whose progress is rooted in oil. From its Caracas offices, this company conducts its business in the interest of the Venezuelan people, as well as its own stockholders. This is the story of an American business firm which has become an integral part of a nation's social and economic progress.
They controlled the oil in Venezuela. So yes, Standard Oil of New Jersey, also known as ExxonMobil, started the oil industry in Venezuela, and it was the Rockefeller family who began financing the development of Venezuela and the other Latin American countries through their corporation IBEC, that's International Basic Economy Corporation. These are the ones who built up Latin America. It was through their financing. Anyways, they are the ones who control the oil industry. So long story short, Standard Oil of Venezuela ran through the Creole Petroleum Corporation. This was the main power in the region from the 1920s until its assets were nationalized in 1976. You see, when a country nationalizes a market, this means that the government takes control of private industries or assets, which can lead to decreased competition and innovation. They basically made sure that they put a lock on it so nobody else could come over there and compete. So the government of Venezuela controlled the oil industry. But as long as the United States controlled the government, they controlled the industry. So obviously, before they nationalized the oil industry in Venezuela, the United States was forming their government in Venezuela by spreading democracy like they do all around the world. Venezuela shifted to democracy in 1958, and after this, most other South American nations began falling under the iron-fisted rule of US-backed military dictatorships. This is the history of the United States in Latin America.
After World War II, fears of spreading communism took America's Cold War battle to every corner of the globe.
It must be the policy of the United States to support free peoples who are resisting attempted subjugation. If we falter in our leadership, we may endanger the peace of the world.
U.S. economic interests long drove American foreign policy in Latin America, but the success of the Cuban Revolution in 1959 focused attention on the dangers of the Soviet Union's ideological expansion so close to home.
In less than 4 years, Fidel Castro, who came to power on a wave of personal popularity, has allowed himself to become dominated by Russia. Her support now constitutes a threat to Western security.
In response, the U.S. supported coups against leftist governments in Brazil, Ecuador, and Chile, and even sent U.S. troops to the Dominican Republic. Then, in 1979, Nicaragua's U.S.-backed dictatorship fell, sending new alarm bells off in Washington.
Nicaragua has become the first Soviet foothold on the continent of the Americas. A military buildup unprecedented for Central America, aided by nearly 2,000 military and security advisors from Cuba.
U.S. officials turned their attention to El Salvador, where military repression of popular dissent had fueled a growing leftist insurgency. The tiny country soon became America's line in the sand.
It was said here today the decisive battle for Central America is underway in El Salvador.
If we do not act promptly and decisively in defense of freedom, new Cubas will arise from the ruins of today's conflicts.
We're not talking about an effort that is focused on a single country, Salvador. We're talking about an effort that affects an area of enormous geopolitical importance to us, the United States.
If I recall correctly, Secretary of State Haig went to President Reagan and said, "Mr. President, this is one you can win," quote unquote.
Military and economic aid poured into the country, as did American military advisors, and Reagan threatened to go further.
The White House today refused to rule out the eventual use of American combat troops to help prevent the overthrow of the government in El Salvador.
But the strategy emboldened El Salvador's right-wing government, which had already shown itself adept at political violence.
For U.S. policymakers, the case of El Salvador fits the classic definition of diplomacy, choosing between the undesirable and the unacceptable. The question remains, how far is the U.S. prepared to go to prevent the unacceptable?
President Reagan gave almost a green light to fighting this war any way the Salvadoran military wanted to fight it. The way they wanted to fight it was a strategy of massacres. And that strategy meant that the chief victims in El Salvador in this civil war were always civilians, always unarmed people.
In the end, more than 75,000 Salvadorans were killed, and there was no quick victory.
10 years later, they were still fighting. And our main contribution was to destroy El Salvador over the next 10 years. A whole generation was wiped out. The productive capacity of El Salvador was terribly damaged, and it was simply a case where our reaction lacked all proportionality. We tried to defeat an authentic revolutionary movement, and it proved impossible, even in a postage stamp country the size of El Salvador.
And El Salvador was far from alone. American foreign policy had supported autocratic rulers throughout Latin America.
The Reagan administration extended the official hand of friendship to another military or authoritarian government today, this time to the government of Chile.
It's a desert of dictators, the whole region in the south, and then the whole civil wars in Central America.
America's complex legacy in the region continues to play out today.
The military and security forces of these repressive coup regimes were trained by the United States at the U.S. Army School of the Americas. So when the governments controlled the oil, they were in control of it all. Now listen, all the specifics does not matter. What needs to be understood is that under all of this is the control of the richest families in the world. They are the puppet masters of all of this. And as Albert Pike laid out in his plan, they are taking advantage of the rift between the agentors of the Illuminati. So they've created the rift. In regards to the United States narrative, the conflict with the United States government is when Hugo Chavez took control in 1998 and started the Bolivarian Revolution, which is said that he introduced a series of economic and social reforms that was said to dramatically reduce poverty and illiteracy while greatly improving health and other living conditions for millions of Venezuelans. The people of Venezuela loved Hugo Chavez.
Pero nada de crédito, ni de apoyo técnico. Bueno, ¿y qué pasó con los campesinos? No llegó al campesino los beneficios del petróleo y de la riqueza nacional. Pues bien, eso ahora no puede ocurrir de nuevo. Y ese es uno de los principios que están contenidos en la Constitución revolucionaria y bolivariana.
As part of his proclaimed mission to educate and his promise to make government more accessible, Chavez held a weekly radio and TV show where any citizen could phone in and talk directly to the president.
The reforms, which included nationalizing key components of the nation's economy as a part of an agenda of socialist uplift, made Chavez a hero to millions of people and the enemy of Venezuela's oligarchs, this being the people who built the country in the first place. And so Hugo Chavez was marked by his assertive anti-US stance, which he leveraged to redistribute oil wealth and forge new diplomatic ties with countries like Russia, China, and Iran. And this is where you need to understand things from right now. He built an alliance with the East. The administration of George W. Bush, whom Chavez he infamously called the devil in a speech before the United Nations.
I think that the first people who should read this book are our brothers and sisters in the United States, because their threat is in their own house. The devil is right at home. The devil himself is right in the house. And the devil came here yesterday. Yesterday, the devil came here. Right here. Right here. And it smells of sulfur still today. This table that I am now standing in front of. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, from this rostrum, the President of the United States, the gentleman to whom I refer as the devil, came here talking as if he owned the world. Truly, as the owner of the world.
George Bush backed a failed military coup against Chavez in 2002.
The attempted 2002 coup against leftist leader Hugo Chavez in the oil-rich nation of Venezuela reveals the pseudo-NGO at work.
Se acabó el caciquismo de aquellos caudillos adectos, esa falsa democracia de la élite en Venezuela se acabó.
Venezuela is important because they're the third largest supplier of petroleum. I would say that Mr. Chavez, and the State Department may say this, probably doesn't have the interests of the United States at heart.
During the coup attempt, the Bush administration immediately voiced support for the plotters.
The Bush administration made it clear it is happy with the change in leadership in the country responsible for 15% of America's oil imports.
Initially, many observers attributed the support to an ideological affinity between the coup faction and the Bush administration. However, it soon became apparent that the coup was actually sponsored by the United States itself. The National Endowment for Democracy had funneled millions of dollars to Venezuelan dissident groups and politicians, many of whom took up cabinet positions in the short-lived government. In the media, an illusion was conjured of a popular uprising and government crackdown. In reality, Chavez had the support of the vast majority of the population. This was soon made apparent when an actual uprising arose in response to the coup, forcing the Venezuelan military to reinstate the deposed leader. That the CIA has overthrown countless governments around the world is no longer a closely held secret.
After George Bush, Barack Obama continued Bush's policy of demonizing Chavez, whose government he called authoritarian. In 2015, Obama declared Venezuela an extraordinary threat to national security, which is a very wild claim considering the country has never started a war in its history.
Defiant Nicolas Maduro arrives at a meeting, a televised gathering of ministers and top officials, including those on the new US sanctions list, a way for the Venezuelan president to respond to Washington's latest move.
President Obama has decided to put himself into a box of failure. He will be remembered in the future for his decision today and the aggression against the Venezuelan people.
Now, by this time, Nicolas Maduro had already come into power. You see, after Hugo Chavez died in March 2013, Maduro, who was Hugo Chavez's vice president, assumed the interim presidency and then later on won the election and held power since. Now we get to Donald Trump's first term. In his first term in 2019, he pursued an explicit maximum pressure campaign aimed at regime change in Venezuela. I don't know if you remember that. In January of 2019, the United States, along with more than 50 other nations, formally recognized opposition leader Juan Guaido as the legitimate interim president of Venezuela. They tried to strip diplomatic recognition from Maduro's government. Trump's administration imposed severe economic and oil sanctions designed to cut off revenue to Maduro's government, including freezing Venezuela government assets in the United States and targeting its state energy company, Petróleos de Venezuela. If you remember, this is the time when extreme hyperinflation happened in Venezuela. They were trying to take it down. The Trump administration authorized the CIA to conduct covert operations inside Venezuela to support the effort to oust Maduro, but it all failed. During that time, Trump repeatedly stated that a military option was not off the table, and in one instance asked senior advisors about invading Venezuela.
2 Russian Air Force planes landed in the capital city of Caracas over the weekend, reportedly carrying a Russian defense official and nearly 100 troops. The arrival comes as the United States, along with dozens of other countries, are pressing Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro to step down, to be replaced by opposition leader Guaido.
Russia has to get out. What's your next question?
While Moscow backs Maduro, Trump says all options are on the table, including the military.
All options are open.
He was responding to a reporter's question Wednesday about whether the United States is willing to put boots on the ground to remove the Russians. The American president also assured Fabiano Rosales that the U.S. is going to get it all worked out, while also criticizing Maduro over the failure of efforts to get humanitarian aid into Venezuela.
We've sent hundreds of millions of dollars worth of aid to the border. He won't take the aid. He'd rather have his people starve than take the aid. I don't think that's good, even from a political standpoint. Even from a dictator's standpoint, I don't think that's good.
The point is that this is not new.
As governments and nations focus on the coronavirus, there's a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain, and we must not let that happen. We will never let that happen. Today, the United States is launching enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people from the deadly scourge of illegal narcotics. We must not let the drug cartels exploit the pandemic to threaten American lives. We're deploying additional Navy destroyers, combat ships, aircraft and helicopters, Coast Guard cutters, and Air Force surveillance aircraft, doubling our capabilities in the region.
It may be only new to people if you haven't been paying attention and you haven't been following the news from so long ago. And this all leads us to where we are at today. Trump is ready to attack Venezuela, but to the general public, he's talking about drugs because the masses are asleep and they believe anything. But they are looking to have control over the oil. Now let's be clear that the real power behind the scenes, they still have control over all these industries. It's not as if Maduro is rogue and has control and power and he's cutting off the power from the real people in power. Absolutely not. The power behind the scenes creates the situations for the world conflict, and it's all by design. Trump is just carrying out his part, and so he is now moving aggressively and says that they will move against Venezuela very soon. Perhaps before this video is even released, who knows? But you have to see how the chess pieces were moving, because he did not move until he brought Mohammed bin Salman, that's the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. He didn't move until he formalized a new agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia. Just this month, Trump elevated Saudi Arabia to a status of major non-NATO ally, and the two sides signed a new strategic defense agreement that expands U.S. military access rights, formalizes Saudi burden-sharing commitments to defray U.S. costs associated with defending Saudi Arabia, and clears the way for major arms transfers, including future F-35 deliveries and nearly 300 U.S. tanks. Notice, this is all about war. He made sure that Saudi Arabia had his back. There was also a critical minerals framework that was agreed upon to bring Saudi investments into United States supply chain products, and also a landmark AI memorandum granted Saudi Arabia access to advanced American systems and hardwares, including chips from firms like NVIDIA and AMD. It said that Trump appears to put Saudi Arabia on par with Israel as a strategic partner of the United States. I mean, even understand this, the Crown Prince expressed general interest in Saudi Arabia one day joining the Abraham Accords. And you see, after that visit is where you see the ramping up of all this rhetoric of war in Venezuela. Didn't happen before then. Russia and China, they haven't said much about the United States coming against Venezuela. It's not in the mainstream talks is what I'm saying. I've seen different reports saying that Russia said that they have Venezuela's back, but it's not the mainstream. What needs to be clear is that this is all about oil. Who controls the energy? So we don't know what is to come of this all, but we do know that this is major escalation. It's escalation that they have been trying to get accomplished for years now. They've been trying to come at Iran, and you saw that they attacked Iran this year, and they've been trying to come at Venezuela, and now he's talking about doing it right now. Everything is happening right in front of your faces. And so it would not be smart for you to have your eyes closed and be asleep to it all. So what I want you to understand is that what the mainstream is saying is far from the truth, and is very much deeper than what they're feeding the general public. It doesn't matter about all the specifics though. What matters is that they are moving aggressively because they are transitioning us into this new world order. War is upon this world. Change is upon this world. And I want the remnant to be ready for it all. That's the only thing. You can't change any of this. You can't worry about any of this, but you need to know what's happening in front of you so you could be ready for it and it doesn't take you by surprise. Now, the first part of being ready for this is being mentally equipped to not fall from the mind control. I give you the backstory to let you understand that what you're seeing in the mainstream is not true, and there's a great amount of other factors in the midst. This is all about energy and world war. And if you have watched my other videos as I've shown how all the sides have been preparing themselves, you should understand that this is all very real. So the thing is that if you're not mentally attached to this and whatever the narrative is, whoever they create to make the enemy and make you attached to it, you will do fine if you stay disconnected from it. My main point to tell you is to get your houses in order. This is not a time for fear, but excitement. But you must get your houses in order. Prepare for some hard times coming. I expect 2026 to be a very challenging year. There are warning signs everywhere. And I do not believe that we're really done with that government shutdown nonsense. I mean, that whole thing, it just got kicked down the road until January 30th. When they reopened the government this last time, it was only until January 30th. So if they do not come with an agreement, that whole situation could restart again. And it doesn't seem like anybody's talking or negotiating anything, not talking about it in the mainstream right now. I know that much.
So let's talk about it live now to CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, lest we celebrate progress too fast, I've got some math for you. 78 days. That's all we have between now and January 30th when this funding bill ends, and we could do this all over again. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but what is the insurance policy that we won't have this very same problem in 78 days?
Too soon, Reed, too soon. But you're exactly right, because we could be in a very similar situation in just a couple of months from now.
There also has been a lot of aggressive changes going on in the government, with many people stepping down and new leaders trying to emerge. Things are changing. There's a new narrative forming. We are in a powder keg. It's happening very fast, so it can be very easy to miss it all and go about your daily life. What I'm telling the remnant to do is to use this month of December while the masses are distracted with this holiday nonsense and make a plan. If you haven't started buying food supplies, please start this now. You don't have to have a whole bunch of money to do this either. Make some changes to your current lifestyle so that you may be able to afford supplies. Please start preparing for hard times that are coming. This is what I'm trying to communicate. This is the time to prepare mentally, physically, and above all, spiritually. We are in a changing world, and all these events are about moving us directly towards the beast. And if you're not mentally ready, you are going to fall for the strong delusion. If you're not spiritually ready, you're not going to know who it is you should be depending on, and you won't truly understand what it is that you should be waiting for to happen in regards to the promises of our Father. Being physically ready is important if you are able, because when the food on the shelves at the stores go away and people start panicking, if you have supplies, you don't have to be a part of the madness. And for some of you that don't have the resources to start getting supplies, this also can be a benefit because you already know how to work through struggle and how to work through hard times. Most people aren't in that situation. And so for you, your current struggles may be just preparation that will help you endure. Don't look at things negatively, because it's not always negative. Yah is covering you if you allow him to. By the way, I have made videos about preparing, so if you have questions, please go back to these videos and review them and take whatever actions you can. But you should prepare, because things are turning up. I also have this preparation list that you can download and use. It's in the description box. Now let me say this about the preparations. Please understand, your preparations don't matter more than your faith. If you're getting your house in order, that is more than just your physical preparations. Don't stress about them if you really aren't able to. Again, if you lack resources or your family isn't on board with you, our Father understands and he knows your situation. Our supplies are not our source. Our Father is our source, and you must be about placing your trust in him. This world has a plan for all of this, and they will walk all of those without faith into their oppressive hands. Your faith must be strong so you are able to hear our Father's voice and trust in him. For many of you that are losing your jobs or money's really getting really tight right now for you, please do not lose faith. Again, our Father understands what is happening and he has a plan for you. He will not leave you, but you must not leave him. Just understand what's happening in this world. The stakes are getting higher, and that's why it's so important to really live and walk in faith and the truth. If you understand him and how much he cares for us, then you must really live with that assurance and hold on to him. Scriptures say, rest in Yahuwah and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who brings wicked schemes to pass. Psalms chapter 37, verse 7. You don't fret because of these wicked people. Now, for those not in the United States, please don't get it twisted. Don't review this as just something about the United States. Understand, once the real problems happen in the United States, it's going to affect the whole world. The United States attacking Venezuela is a good catalyst for world war. If it happens, you should be prepared for it wherever you are in this world. Understand, there is massive chaos on the horizon, and as believers, we must stand planted in our faith and wait for our Father to move. I don't know his exact plans and what exactly he's going to do, but I am assured that my trust and faith in him will not be in vain. He will see us through. Understand this about me. I am not a prophet, and I do not claim to be one. I see danger and risk, and I believe in preparing for it. The scripture says a prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3. I refuse to live asleep while my enemy moves in daily to surround me. I know because of who I believe in and who is in me, I have power if I walk in it and trust in him. So I will. I remember the psalm as it says, though I walk in the midst of trouble, you will revive me. You will stretch out your hand against the wrath of my enemies, and your right hand will save me. Psalm chapter 138, verse 7. I believe in that. I believe in being diligent and prudent. So I am. And this is what I'm doing. And during this month in December, I am making sure my house is in order. For me personally, I am living for his promises and waiting on him. And because of that, Because I see a storm coming, I am preparing for it. This is not to press fear upon anyone. This ministry is not about fear. It has always been about preparing the bride for the bridegroom. I will not allow us to sleep while the enemy moves so cunningly and deceptively and just marches in on people without anyone saying a word. No matter what your situation is, remember what he has said. If you're worrying about your job, your money situation, where you're going to live, or anything else, stop worrying and focus upon him. Anytime fear comes to you, rebuke it and read your Bibles. Turn off the television, turn off social media or whatever else is grabbing your attention, and focus on him. This is the most important moments of your lives. Take things day by day, and remember Yahusha said, "Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. For they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? Which of you by worrying can add 1 cubit to his stature? So why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. And yet I say to you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Now if Elohim so clothes the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Therefore do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For after all these things the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But seek first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 through 34. Remember this verse. Remember that. Also remember in Revelation chapter 21, verse 8, and make sure you're not any one of these type of people. It says, but the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Revelation chapter 21, verse 8. You better make sure that's not you. Also, Paul reminds us, therefore let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and as a helmet the hope of salvation. For Elohim did not appoint us to wrath, but to obtain salvation through our Master Yahusha, the Messiah, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we shall live together with him. Therefore comfort each other and edify one another, just as you also are doing. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 6 through 11. Understand, if you recognize that all these events happening in this world are all spiritual and it's about the God that you serve, make sure you're making it your business to serve Yahuwah. Make it your business to live by faith in him. Make it your business to not walk in fear, but in strength. Make it your business to be a living representative of the good news, so that even though people's ears are closed, they can see him through their eyes watching you. Do not fold in your faith when the finish line is right around the corner. I'm going to say it one more time because it's important. Do not fold in your faith when the finish line is right around the corner. Everyone's faith is being tested right now, some differently than others, but it's all about enduring and coming to the finish line and receiving your crown. Persevere, overcome. Remember his promise in Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. He says, because you have kept my command to persevere, I also will keep you from the hour of trial which shall come upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth. Behold, I am coming quickly. Hold fast what you have, that no one may take your crown. Revelation chapter 3, verses 10 through 11. The hour of trial is coming upon the whole world. This is what I keep talking about. Make sure you overcome and persevere. Get your houses in order. Make sure your family is looking to Yahuwah and not keeping their minds in deception. Teach them all, young and old, to look up and not straight ahead or down. If your family is not on board with your faith, then pray for them, but do not let them bring you down. If getting your house in order is just about getting yourself in order, then that is what it is. You will not stand at the judgment with your family, so do not let them hold you to their fate if their trust is not in the Most High. Keep your faith and trust in the Most High. I mean, all these Christians right now, they're all living in delusion. They're waiting for this false pre-tribulation rapture to happen while they're putting up Christmas trees and celebrating this pagan holiday. They think they're ready for what's happening. And that verses like Revelation chapter 3, verse 10, they think it's about them. They are in the strong delusion, and they are not going to be covered and protected when the storm starts. Why would they be protected when they're celebrating pagan holidays and living lawlessly? It's going to turn out bad for many. You are being warned right now so that you can be ready and prepared and not be like them. It's hard to hear, I know, but it's the truth. You cannot be like them. I wanted to make sure that I gave this advice because I see things moving fast, and there isn't a lot of sound advice being given on the internet. Please take this time to focus on being ready for a challenging 2026. Have some food supplies and have a plan of action if things start getting dicey. Do not move in fear, but in an excited expectation that the world is about to move into judgment so that we can be moving into our promises. Judgment has to happen. These things have to happen in order that we move into what our Father has for us. So please, focus on living in the truth and being ready. The world has to get judged. You can't get past that. Don't worry about the external noise and the mind-controlling banter. Just understand that the birth pangs are getting stronger, and that's because the kingdom is about to be birthed. You must endure to the end so that you can be a part of it. So please, make that your mission today. What you must do right now is simple. Read and study the word daily. Pray daily. Trust him and let go of your cares and troubles. Place it all upon our Father in heaven and submit to his will. Believe in Yahushua the Messiah as redemption for your sins, as the sacrificial lamb for your sins. He is our atonement. Keep your faith in him, and your faith will be rewarded. Stay strong and be diligent. Get your houses in order and prepare for hard times that are coming ahead, because you must see by now that the kingdom of Yahuwah, it's truly at hand. Be ready for it and be blessed. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Okay, thanks again for watching. If this has blessed you, please don't forget to like this and share this video with others. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel. Yah willing, I upload every Friday. Also, please don't forget to follow this ministry on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on my website, truthunedited.com. Thank you again for watching. I'm thankful for all of you. Thank you especially to those that Yahweh has placed it on your hearts to give, and you have done so. I thank you for your assistance in carrying out this ministry every week. Thank you for your blessings and your prayers. They truly support this ministry. You have no idea. Thank you for your obedience to Yah's call on your heart. Be blessed. Okay, thanks again for watching, everyone. I love you all.